Yes, greetings and salutations as always, and we explicitly, or whatever you want to call it, welcome you back to Jimmy Jam Sessions as we are back on the highway of the top five series, my top five series of my top five jerseys of each team, and this road is starting to come to and we still got a handful to go, but it's getting down there. And today it is those crazy rascals in the Bay, Tampa. It is Tampa Bay Lightning Day. And I've got some friends who live in Tampa, so if you get a chance to see this, hi. In the meantime, if you haven't, there's this thing called a subscribe button. You want to hit that if you want to be on point to anything new, whether we do anything of all the content that we do on the channel, especially this stuff that we do. And if you ever missed any team that you missed, you can file back, go back and find it, and, have a little bit of a laugh yourself or whatever. This time around, this one's gonna be a little bit of fun because it is the Tampa Bay Lightning, and as always, before I do anything of that, I show everybody where I can do my homework. And sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. I miss some stuff, but I do stuff pretty much on the fly a lot. This is the NHL uniform database. You get to see all the templates that they did, all the time frames that they did as well. And you get to see all the special ones that they did, reverse retro stadium series, and you get to see little information that you can see as far as that is concerned. Now, the Tampa Bay Lightning, we know, came into the league in 1993, 92, 93, founded in 1990. This was one of those hotbeds. This was one of those nice kind of refresh things because we got the San Jose Sharks that came in 89, 90, and then a couple of years later, we get into that expansion run where it was Ottawa, Tampa, and then I'm trying to think who else we got during that time frame. The Ducks came in, and then and this was just a good run of seeing some fresh faces, and the Tampa Bay Lightning were always famous for that logo. Now, this is the logo that I remember because it was it is as simple as you can make it, and it fit on the jersey. But we all know Tampa has been known to do some crazier stuff and blow us away with absolute mediocrity. Now, I didn't even get to the gist of Tampa Bay. They've had a couple arenas. They played in the old X-Ball Hall in their first year. They moved to Tropicana Field. At the time, it was called the Thunderdome, Florida Suncoast Dome, and they had big crowds when they put the extension inside, and they got 28,000 in a game. They broke the record until the outdoor games started happening, and then they finally moved to a new building, which they lovingly named the Ice Palace. Then it turned into a couple names that called to do St. Pete Times Forum, Tampa Times Forum. It's now called Amalie Arena, and this group has 3 Stanley Cups. Everybody remembers the one they beat when they defeated Calgary, and that was a big one because Dave Andreychuk got his first and only cup. I believe it was only cup, I think. Then it took a handful of years to get through, and then they had their dynasty in the beginning of this decade where they just couldn't be stopped. They had a loss in a Stanley Cup against the Blackhawks during the Blackhawks dynasty, and then that team just kept getting better and better and better, ownership-wise, front office-wise. John Cooper, head coach. And then, you had those boys of Stamkos and Braden Point and Victor Hedman. Vasilevsky became a megastar in goaltender, and they just could not be stopped. Kucherov is one of the nastiest players in the league, and he's my size. I'm 5'8". He's like 5'8", 5'9", and he's just a dirty man. He's just a fantastic puck handler. But they won back-to-back Stanley Cups, won the cup in the bubble against the Dallas Stars, won the following year against Montreal when Montreal had that COVID Canadian division, and Montreal shouldn't even have been in it. And then they went and tried to do the three-peat and lost to Colorado. So I give Tampa its due because they're so well run, and John Cooper does not give a rip about a lot of things. But I did not put this jersey or even the white jersey in my top 5 because I simply think it is just mediocre. Let's just look together while we're at it. Let me flip back, and we're going to look right here so we can see, for everyone to see. They actually started wearing that type of bolt right around 2011. and they also had the white jersey that had Tampa on it. They've had this run for it's coming up to 14, 15 years as I do this video. They kind of wanted to go simple, but I'm not gonna lie. This is probably one of my favorites, and it's not even in the top five because this is. I will say. I usually say it at the end of these type of videos. This is the Tampa Bay that I remember. The old school block shoulders, just the black and that kind of dark obsidian blue. But that logo stood out so well. It made it fit in the jersey, a CCM and a starter, whatever it was. The number font was nice. Oh, you should see. In fact, I'll just do this real quick. Let me go back. And if I can do my best here, the one thing I did remember is if you get a chance to look at 92, 93, 94, it's kind of blurryish, but they changed the font numerous times. And if I can somewhat, they just go from this and then they angled it in the following year, and then they went to this real brushstroke font for the numbers, and it actually looked really really dope. And it was a nice little change up. It helped out for the upcoming reverse retro that it came out with. And speaking of which, this was your influence. This one actually came out. If everyone remembers all that, that came out during the run of 96, 9 to 99. This is that time for right near the end of 2000 where all the graphical stuff started coming out. It was still technically a Gen X, early millennial type of stuff as we're hitting to 2000, but this resembled really close to a roller hockey jersey, but they still wore it. They still wore it, and it still stood out, and all that graphic stuff was kind of a big deal. I give them props for that one as well. So this was one of those out there, and it was, like I said, this was in fact the inspiration for the reverse retro. This, I believe, was the second one. This one is actually one I believe I'm gonna have to look back, and I may pin it later. Because I do have a reverse retro tier list of version 1 and 2, and I think this was a very, very high. And if you try to find this now, good luck because you're not going. It's very difficult. We remember this stuff, and we just remember some of the different stuff we did. Remember when they just started putting the diagonal text logo? There's some people in jersey collectives that don't like text logos. They did this in black. The blue actually looks pretty decent. The black, I mean, any team who does a black jersey, they can make it work. Even if your team doesn't have black in its palette, in its original palette. Tampa always has, and the Bolts logo did fairly decent on that as well. Let's see what else we did. Let me get to that because that one I own that one as well. But we remember what they wore for this in the Expo Hall and all those times. I remember this one. Remember when they had that little transition? They wanted to do a little rebrand, so they just touched up the logo, put the number on the shoulder. A little quick story. I actually own this jersey, not the 27, but I owned this jersey in my old work life, and in which the work life we majority people were, the company was selling NHL at the time, and I got this in Vincent Lecavalier at a number 4, and I had that jersey for so long, it turned pink. So I didn't realize I was starting to collect jerseys long before, but then I see this, and I remember I had that Vincent Lecavalier jersey, and it turned a very nice pink. That's how long it sat. So let's do this real quick. I mean, you see different ones. We remember this, and I did show you this off the top of my head. Let me get into the top 5, and I will go with the number 5 here, and I am going to go with the third jersey that they use now, and pretty much the only reason I'm doing this one now is because they needed a facelift. They needed a punch in the mouth to be like, dude, your jerseys are so boring. Like, I get it's Tampa Bay, and I get it. They want to do their own thing and their own identity. Their jerseys are so identical to Toronto. It's it's mind blowing. So they finally got a chance to do a black one. There was a thing where let's go back and look, and I have to show you this real quick. In 2000, and when they were doing 2018, 2009, right about that 2018, They were supposed to do this jersey. I think they did do this 1 year or two. If you know exactly the time frame of when they did this black ice faded context, this template here, let me know if they actually did do this throughout the entire run. What didn't tell me what one it was, but if you remember that, put a comment in because I would put this one in, but I hardly saw it. So for the time being, I am actually putting, let's see, where was I? I will put it this at number five. I'm going to put the Stadium Series at number four. I think this was a little outside the box and it needed it. Anything in my top five is going to be outside the box because, of course, like I said, I mean, Tampa's got a good palette, but they need a little bit. They need somebody to just like light a match underneath and change it up a little bit. Big font in the middle. The numbers were huge. It's outside the box. They played this game. I believe this was the game they played in Nashville against the Predators. I have the Predators one. I don't have this one, but this was a good change and they needed it. I'll put this at four. And I'm going to put number three. I'm actually going to put one of those ones that they wore back in that time frame when they changed it up. This was in the Reebok era, the Reebok Edge era. I think this jersey was I think this jersey with the trim, the bottom is clean. You put the number on top. You got the old Florida logos with the Lightning logo with the state of Florida. Blue collar. It's simple, but it is sporty. It was, and during that time frame, it was chic. And even the let me just go back real quick because when was that time frame? Let's just go back together and look at it. It was this way what exactly what I thought it was 2000 it was 2007 to 2011 they ran that Reebok era and I'm not gonna lie to you that if I could find that jersey again I would. I have a couple old Reebok ones in my collection, but this might be one I might have to try to find again. I'll do this at number four. Number three, reverse retro. I will put the blue one I will put this. The blue one was just. If you could find the blue one, good luck because I really really don't know where you're going to find it. But all this was really very simple for them. Bring the old logo back, white shoulders, change it to blue. You had every other color, white. You had white and black. Change it to blue. Call it a day, and it was a banger. It did really really well. I need to make sure that I did not ruin my top. You know what? I think I messed my top five up, and I really don't care because I think number one is I really don't care. There's a two or one. I don't. It's going to go back to the old school one, the original black. I don't have it. I messed my top five up, and I really don't care because this is what I remember: the old logo, the patch, the block shoulders on the top, and I do the one with the brushstroke font on it. This is what I remember, and I had this jersey as well. But this is something that we really needed. I mean, if I want to put the old jersey, fine. I'll put it at two. I'll put this one at two, and I'll put this one at one. But this is the one I remember the most, and I just don't see any other time frame that they're going to change anytime soon. Um, Tampa's just their own cat. They always have been, and I mess up a top five, and I don't care because these are some of the best ones I've seen. And clearly enough, I mean, I think I'm not going to sit here and say they need a rebrand. There's no point because the team's still winning. Okay, the team is still winning. I actually like the brand. I'm not crazy on the team because when you have a dynasty, Tampa was starting to become the Kansas City Chiefs. It could not be beat. But I have to kind of put it on a side note because they won their Stanley Cups in the pandemic era, and then they get out of it and they go to try to three-peat, and Colorado beats them, and Colorado was a better team. But Tampa is always going to be one of those teams that are always going to be. Are they going to team? Do they have to? Do they have to be that team to come back and finally beat Florida? Then Florida has the reins of the whole entire NHL right now. But I've always liked the Tampa brand. The team, I don't jump on it immediately, but I don't even have a hat. I should get a hat, but of all that stuff for Tampa Bay, what do you remember? What was your favorite jersey? Yeah, I mess it up and I don't really give a care. I mean, it's Tampa. And there's really not a bad jersey, maybe one. And actually, you know what? There was two. There was bad jerseys, the ones I wear right now. But They're clean, and there's nothing nobody's going to say about it because the team wins. The team wins. Doesn't matter what you wear on the ice. Which one do you remember? I'm going to shut the bar down. And until then, the next time, I actually had to double check and look before I see here. And let me look and just see. And if I do the alphabetical term right now, the next one actually would be Toronto. So Toronto's going to be fun. I mean, there's going to be a lot of identical stuff, but Toronto will be fun. And until then, bars closed. And as always, I see you legends in the next one. You know what? I'm not even going to throw this hat. I'm not even going to put this up there. The theme. Come on. This is Tampa Bay. This is the Lightning that I remember. Okay, I fibbed. I'm going to put the hat up there. See you guys in the next one.